I want to welcome our second panel and our second group of witnesses, and we're first going to hear from Ms. Tonya Speed. She's the Executive Director of Mid-Tier Advocacy. Mid-Tier Advocacy represents a community of small and mid-sized firms providing goods and services to the federal government. Welcome, and I look forward to hearing your testimony.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chairman Graves, to Ranking Member Velasquez, and the esteemed members of this distinguished panel. I am honored to be here today as Executive Director of Mid-Tier Advocacy to discuss the disappearing mid-sized firm and to support the Connolly Bill, the Small Business Growth Act, H.R. 1812. The MTA represents a community of small and mid-sized firms that provide employment for thousands of people across the United States and across multiple industries. MTA is an organization of the country's top veteran-owned, service-disabled, HUB-zone certified, minority-owned, and women-owned businesses. Mid-size or mid-tier refers to other than small businesses that may have exceeded the size standard for the industry as determined by NAICS codes. They are seasoned businesses as a result of having been in the federal market for 10 and sometimes 30 years or more. Their revenues may range from $10 million to $350 million and will likely employ from 100 to 2,000 people. They no longer are considered small businesses, but neither are they large in the federal marketplace. Our testimony today will attempt to focus on 2 points: the disappearing mid-sized business and why Congress should protect its investment, also creating jobs to strengthen the industrial base. We believe the standards used to define small business by the North American Industry Classification System, better known as NAICS, are inadequate because, in most cases, the NAICS codes define small business as a company that has less than a certain threshold in annual revenues over a 3-year average. The reality is that once any company surpasses this standard, it is considered other than small. One of the greatest challenges for successful small business is to survive beyond the size standards. By its own admission, the SBA is responsible to the public for ensuring that size standard levels are rational and flexible enough to reflect the effects of inflation and changing economic conditions while promoting competitive viability among small businesses. We believe that the current NAICS codes classifications fail that standard and fail the successful small emerging business. Small businesses that grow beyond the limits set by the NAICS codes are punished for doing what any business aims to do, and that is simply to grow. Once they become moderately successful in the federal market, they are thrust into unrestricted labor market. They must compete without the infrastructure or the capital to compete successfully against significantly larger businesses. And I do have a chart that I'd like to share. Representative Connolly touched upon the differences among the very large companies and the small business concerns that we are really talking about. Most small businesses provide services where the NAICS ceiling is either at $7 million or $25 million, translating to roughly 100 to 150 employees, whereas on the chart you can see with the large integrators, they have up to 136,000 employees, on average 130,000 employees. And these are, in fact, the people that the businesses that we represent today are in direct competition with. It's not the very small concerns, but the much larger integrators or the giants in the industry. Our concern is thousands of small businesses who have graduated or matured have disappeared from the landscape of the federal marketplace. The policies that drive the standards and the criteria and the entry-level and developing firm eventually, unfortunately, stifle many of them who are achieving some modest success. We believe size standards should encourage growth by securing balanced competition at all levels, setup, developing, and our matured phase. Under the Connolly Bill, mid-sized contract opportunities would come from unrestricted procurements and not come from small business set-asides. We believe since the government invests in small companies, it should protect the investment and continue to support them, or at least monitor their progress after they graduate. This makes perfect policy and economic sense. Taxpayers want to know what sort of return they are getting on their small business investment. And Finally, I will close by saying that MTA strongly supports the Small Business Growth Act, H.R. 1812, because it goes to the heart of the government can get a better return on its small business investment. And to quote Mr. Connolly's office, the success of these small businesses is what's helping to drive the economic recovery, and the loss of incentives is what is threatening not only their ability to compete, but also their ability to hire. And finally, again, we will also quote Mr. Graves as saying that the cost-saving strategy can actually help Washington address our out-of-control federal debt and help create jobs. For all the reasons stated above, the establishment of a mid-sized business category would ensure that government would get the best bang for its buck. Thank you very much for allowing me to provide testimony.